Hello. Finally, we are ready to start. So, sorry for this delay. Let me introduce you Professor Steven Vermeulen. Steven Vermeulen is from Ghent University in Belgium. He is already someone who is all ears invited to come here. At the beginning for e-commerce courses and now with Power BI. So I hope you enjoyed this workshop. Steven?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. You're a lot. I'm going to give you an explanation of what Power BI means, and we're going to do two cases together, okay? So I'm going to be a bit short in the introduction, but I'm going to explain you what Power BI means and what it can do for you. And then we go to a case connected with the internet, and a case where you have to download a file from an Excel file and analyze the data in Power BI, okay? So this is what I want to do with you. So first, a short introduction, then I show you how to get Power BI, but maybe you have it already. We take some first steps. Case 1 is about football, case 2 is about financial data, and then sales data will be up to you, and you should do that at home, okay? So first of all, what is Power BI? Maybe you've heard of, Excel, where you can analyze some data, but Power BI, good afternoon, Power BI is a very powerful tool to analyze very complex data coming from almost everywhere, okay? So it can be an Excel file, but it can be a file which is on the internet. It can be a Wikipedia page or something. It can be a Facebook page where you want to analyze the data from. So in fact, everything is possible to link with Power BI, okay? And Power BI is a very powerful tool to visualize your data. And I think this slide explains what the power of Power BI is. So you can see that the data can be analyzed and be shown on a report, a very nice report, which you can share with other people if you want, okay? So this is an example of very basic, let's say, Power BI report I made with data coming from Excel, okay? So data can come from almost everywhere. So you can see an Access database, Excel, SQL, or even the internet. Maybe you've heard of MailChimp, where you can send emails from and receive data from other people. It can all be linked with Power BI, and it can be shown in a report. If you want to have a full overview of all sources that can join with Power BI, you should visit that internet page later if you want, but a lot of sources can be connected with Power BI. So that's one big thing to keep in mind. Almost everything is possible to link with Power BI, okay? Power BI has some different tools, and we're going to use the free tool, of course, which is the Power BI desktop. So if you want to share your data or you want to show them on mobile devices of other people, you have to pay for it. You have to pay for Power BI, and it is quite expensive. But we're going to use the free version, of course, where we can share, where we can create a report and see it on a mobile device, on our own mobile device. That's what we want to do. Use the free version, of course, okay? So we're going to import data and create reports. We won't share them, and we won't make them visible on other mobile devices except for our own. Why don't we use Microsoft Excel? We talk about big data here. We talk about 100,000 or 1 million different records. where we want to analyze data from. So that's not possible in Excel. We can see our report in different dimensions. And typically for Excel is that we're going to import the data. Here we're going to link the data. I'm going to show you within some minutes how to link the data and not import them in Power BI. Okay, so that's the second thing to keep in mind. We don't want to import, we want to link the data. Okay, so it means that when our linked data are updated somewhere else, on the internet, for example, our Power BI will be updated automatically too. So it's a very dynamic tool we will use. Okay, if you don't have Power BI, this is the link where you can download it, but pay attention, it's quite a big program. So if you don't have Power BI yet, I think you should start downloading it from this link. Okay, so if you add this link to your browser, to Firefox or Internet Explorer or Google Chrome, it will be downloaded automatically. Okay, but it's a quite big software program to install. So as I told you, we're going to use the free version, of course, of Power BI, but you can see the prices, which can be quite high if you want to use that in a professional environment with a lot of people. Can be very expensive. Okay, so please keep in mind here two things. First of all, you can link almost everything with Power BI, so all kinds of data, and we're going to link them and not import them. These are the two things I want you to keep in mind of this short introduction. Okay, so let's go and see how this first case is built. So you're going to need two files later on. So they are on Moodle already. The first one is this PowerPoint slide file. And the second one, for the second case, not for now, but for the second case, you're going to need financial sample.xlsx, which is an Excel file, of course. So if you want, you can download them already now, but for this first case, you won't need, since we're going to link with the internet. Okay, so the first thing is where to find some data. And my first example is about football. Okay, so Belgium is quite famous for its football. I think Porto is playing in Belgium tonight at 8 o'clock in Bruges. This is a file, a Wikipedia page about the FIFA World Cup, which will take place within a month. So that's why I made this case about the FIFA World Cup. And if you want to see the page, which I will link to, I'm going to show you, this is a page about all football players that ever won the World Cup. Okay, so this is a list of FIFA World Cup winning players. Okay, so please visit this page. You will find it on the internet. It's on Wikipedia. It is a list of FIFA World Cup winning players. And if you take a closer look in that page, you're going to see, I think, only one player that won the World Cup 3 times. Okay. Could you find the page on Wikipedia about World Cup winning players? So there's a big table, and you can see that only one player won the World Cup 3 times. He's still alive, I think, Pelé from Brazil. So some football players won the World Cup twice, and most of the players won the World Cup once, of course. Okay, so we're going to link Power BI with this table. So we only need to add the URL, the Uniform Resource Locator, which is en.wikipedia.org and so on. So this address, the internet address, we're going to copy the internet address and put it in Power BI as a link. Okay, that's the first step we need to take. Link Power BI with this page. Okay, so you can start Power BI here. I'm going to wait a minute and take your time to start Power BI and see what happens. Okay, let's go on. Okay. What I want to do here is link Power BI with that Wikipedia page. Okay, so I'm gonna get the data. This is the starting screen of Power BI, where you can get the data. You can see on the left side of my screen where you can get the data, and we want to get data from the web. Okay, so we're gonna link with a web page. Here it is, and connect. Of course, it will ask me which web page, and the web page is here somewhere. This is the web page, so I'm gonna copy the web page like this, copy, and paste the link into this dialog screen, okay? So this is what I want to do. I want to link with that page and see what happens here. It will take some time, and if everything works fine now, it will connect with that web page. I hope it works. Okay, here we are. So my Power BI is linked with my web page, and it finds a lot of tables on that web page. And one of it is players who have won the World Cup, as you can see. So I want to link with that table. Okay, I'm gonna forget all the other tables. I'm not interested in the other tables. You saw maybe on the web page there were other tables too, but the one I want to link to is this one. Okay. So you can recognize this table, but you can see there's some problems with it. Take a look at the first lines, and you will see that Power BI made some mistakes. So it thinks that players, and team and titles won are a record too, but it isn't. So we don't want to load the table here. We want to transform the data. Okay. So we want to transform. Okay. So we're going to transform the data, and we're going to take some steps. And this is the power of Power BI. We're going to take some steps, and that Power BI will keep that different steps in mind. Okay. So it later, when I want to reconnect with that table, it's going to take that step automatically again. So we're going to transform the data. And what we want to do here is we're going to tell Power BI that this first line holds the column names. Okay, you understand? So that first line is not a player. We want this first line to be the column names. And you can do so because there's something in Power BI that says, I have to see where I can find it, use the first row as headers. Okay? Do you find this? Use the first row as the headers. Here we go. And you can see that from now on, this first line will be the name of the columns, player, team, titles won, and so on. So that's one step that Power BI will take from now on when it links to this Wikipedia page. Okay, another step is to delete this first line. This first line is wrong. There's something wrong with the connection from Power BI to Wikipedia. We want to delete this first line. We want to remove the rows like this, reduce rows. Do you see? Reduce rows, remove rows, and we want to remove the top rows. It will ask me how many rows I want to hide, and I want to hide only the first line. Okay, so this is the second step. The first step was to make the first line the headers. The second step now is to hide the first row. Okay, so this is cleaning the data a bit. So if you want to follow these steps in the PowerPoint, I did the first 2 steps. I used the first row as the headers, and I reduced the first row. Something else I want to do is this. You can see that in this table, the titles 1 is a text. Okay, you can recognize the fact that this column is a text because you can see that ABC here. So what you can do is click here and make this a whole number. Okay, because I want to calculate with those data, I don't want them to be text, I want them to be whole numbers. So I'm gonna change this, and you can see that it changes from the left side to the right side, which is typically for Excel and PowerPoint. Text is aligned on the left side, numbers are aligned on the right side. So from now on, this column will be a number, a real number, not a text, which is shown as a number, but a real number, where I can make calculations on. Okay. Something else is this last column, which I want to delete. I don't need this column, I want to delete it. So I can go to Manage Columns, and I want to remove a column, like this. Okay? And you can see the lists of steps I took, because I can see them on the right side. Okay? You can recognize, promoted the headers, change the data type, remove the top rows, change the data type, and removed the columns. Okay? So in fact, these are 5 steps I took to clean those data a little bit. There's one last step I want to take, and I want to change the name of this title, of this column, titles 1.1. I want to change it into years. Okay? This is the last step, and you can see the 6th step renamed the column. Okay? So when I save this file, from now on, when I link with that Wikipedia, that Power BI will take those different steps each time I'm linking with the data. Do you understand? Okay? Gonna wait a second here and make sure you have done all those things. Okay? So don't forget any of those steps, otherwise you will have problems later. So these are the different steps I took to clean the data. I'm gonna go on with the exercise. So this is the point where I can load the data. Okay? So I'm gonna close and apply. This is an important button here. I will close and apply all the different steps, and then I will come into the real Power BI environment. So now it's loading the data. You can close this screen, that's not important, and apply the changes I made to the data. Okay? If you couldn't take all the steps, have a closer look, please. You can try it later, because all the steps are mentioned in the slides, one by one. So now it's loading the data. It takes a while, depending on the speed of your internet connection, of course. So I hope it will work here. I have a link now between the Power BI and the table. As you can see on the right side of my screen, I have a link now with Power BI and the table. Okay? This is the table, players who have won the World Cup. You can see the player name, the team name, the titles won, and so on. So now I can start creating my report, and you should think about the screen, which is divided in 3 parts. You have a white, big part, which is the place where I can create a report. We have visualizations, and we have the different fields. The first thing I want you to try, if you are in PowerPoint still, you can try to create a map like this, and you will see that I'm gonna have a completely empty map. And now I can drag, for example, the team as a location. And normally you should see a map now with all the teams on a world map that have ever won the FIFA World Cup. Okay, that's one thing, and I can drag the titles won to this field, the size, and see what happens. You will see that Brazil gets the biggest size because Brazil has most players winning the World Cup ever. Okay? So what I did was this, I clicked that world symbol and I added team as the location, and I added titles won as the size of those bullets. Okay? I'm gonna do exactly the same with another visualization like this, for example. I can select a stacked bar chart, and then I'll wait a second and give you time to try. I'm gonna create exactly the same, but with a bar chart like this. I'm gonna drag players to the axis and titles won to the values. And you will see exactly the same. Team on the axis and titles won as the number. Okay? And you will see Brazil, for example, the first line, the biggest line, like this. Okay? So this is how Power BI works, and this is how I will create reports with beautiful visualizations. So you can see I did exactly the same steps in the PowerPoint slides. So if you want to try this later, you can see exactly the same I did in the slides. There's something special here because I can click a certain country, let's say Brazil. I can click it and I will see immediately on a map where Brazil is. Okay? So there's a link between those two visualizations because I can select a certain country from left to right or from right to left. For example, I can select Germany and I will see Germany here. Okay, so there's a link on that report. That's important. And this is the point where I can start analyzing the data. Okay, this is very easy, of course, very basic, but you can imagine a much more complex data set. This is very basic one with players, teams, and titles won. Okay, so take some time and try to see what happens when you select a country and when you try to change the visualizations, like this, for example. Okay, gonna wait a minute here. If you don't like the style of this report, you can try to go to view and try to change the style of this report like this, for example. Okay. This is where you change the style. You can create your own style, of course. Let's say you're working in a company and you want to use the company style. You can create your own style, but you have some basic styles which can be quite nice to use. Okay, if you want to save this file, the procedure is exactly the same as in Word or Excel or PowerPoint. File, save or save as, give a name, and you will have this file for later. Okay, and this file, I repeat, this file is linked with an HTML page now. Okay, maybe you want to see me doing this all over again very quickly. Gonna delete those two things. So what I did was select the map, drag the team to the location, and drag the titles won to the size of the bullets. This is what I did, like this. Okay, and in a second step, I wanted to have a bar chart like this, with exactly the same, the team on the axis and the titles one on the values. Like this. Okay, let's move over to the second case, okay, which is a bit more complex, so pay attention, please. If you want to save this file, feel free. I will not save it, so I can go on to the next case, which is a bit more complex, and you will need a file from Moodle, and the name of the file is this one, financialsample.xlsx. So you need that file if you want to follow the different steps. The file is on Moodle. You know where to find this file. So I'm going to use Power BI again. And now I want to link with an Excel file. So get file and move over to the Excel workbook file, like this. Okay, pay attention, please. This is a bit more complex. So I want to connect with the file, and the file I need is this one. I downloaded it already, and gonna open it. Okay, this file has some sheets inside. Let me open the file in Excel. Here it is. So I'm gonna show you what's inside this Excel file. So this file holds more than 700 sales data, okay? And sales data are a segment, a country, a product code, sorry, and more information about the sale we did in our company, okay? Important is that you can see that we have product code 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, okay? Which says nothing, but in the third sheet, you can see that product 1 is some kind of a bike, product 2 is another bike type, and so on. So we have 6 different bike types here, product 1 up to 6, with product full names, okay? So we have sales data, and we have the full names of the products connected with the product codes, okay? So this is what's inside this Excel file. In sheet number 2, I give you some explanation about the data if you want to read this later. But for now, keep in mind the sheet 1 and the sheet 3. Sheet 1 holds the sales data, and sheet 3 holds the different product names. I'm gonna close this Excel file and turn back to Power BI. So I'm gonna connect, get data from an Excel file. Here we go. Connect, and here we go. So I want to have the product list as a data source, and I want to have sheet 1 as a data source. So you see that this Power BI is very smart because it recognizes the different sheets, this one, and it recognized the table names. The product list is a table name which I want to connect together, okay? So I'm gonna link the Excel files, but twice, let's say, one for the product list and one for the sales data. And I'm gonna load them immediately. So I'm gonna click this load. I won't transform those data. I'm gonna load them immediately like this. So it takes a while, but here I am. So on the right side of my screen, I can see that I have the product list and I have the sheet 1. Okay? So there's a link now. It's not imported. There's a link now between the product list and the sheet 1. And you can see in this button, which is new for now, you can see the model. And the model says there is a link between the product list and the sheet 1. Do you see? So there's a relation between those two tables. If you double click that relation, you can see the relation is between the product code and the product full name. Okay?
I can explain some possible to minimize this side of the.
Yes, like this.
Uma chamada de atenção. Vocês estão a ver aqui esta relação. Para quem viu o diagrama TR, uma que vocês há pouco tempo, temos uma relação de 1 para 1 ali. Bem? Isto é exatamente a mesma coisa. Nós estamos a ver agora aqui um bocado prático, do diagrama ER, que tem uma tabela de um lado, tem 1, do outro lado tem 1. É isso que está a acontecer. Agora vocês conseguem ligar uma tabela à outra.
Okay? So this is the relation between the two tables, which we will use later in the report for the Power BI. So we did this. This is some explanation about the Excel sheet. And we have a link with the Excel sheet here. Here you can see the relation in my PowerPoint. So let's try to do the same. What I want to do here is show the sales by country. So I'm going to show you the map again with the country in the location and the sales as the size of the bullets. So sales is here. The sales as the size of the bullets, and doesn't work for some reason. One moment, please. Yeah. Okay, so here it is. For some reason didn't work, but you can see that I have sales in different countries. France, for example, Germany, Canada, United States, and so on. So this is more or less the same of which I did with those football players, but now with some financial data from sales, some sales data from a company. So I can see where all the sales took place, some in Europe, some in Canada and the United States. First step. Something else I can do is this. I can ask a question. So if you point to insert and go to Q&A, you can ask a question to Power BI. And this is something very powerful like this. Take a look, please. I can add a question like this. Sales. And you see what happens. I can see the total amount of the sales, which is 118 million by country. Sorry. Sales by country, and you see what happens on a map. And I will have exactly the same of which I did, what I did a minute ago, sorry. So I can ask a question to Power BI, which is very powerful. Sales by country on a map. And I can make this a real visualization with this button. I will wait a second and give you time to try this. This is it. So this is 2 times exactly the same. The first one was by dragging and dropping. The second one was by this Q&A button. Okay? So take your time to try this. Use that insert and Q&A button, and sales by country on a map can be a question you can ask Power BI to work for you. I'm gonna delete one map because they are exactly the same, of course, so let me keep this one and give it a place on my report. Something else I can try is this. Use a pie chart. Click. And I want to see the sales by segment, for example. So segment goes here, and sales goes here in the values. And you can see I have a pie chart with the sales by segment, and segment is government and so on. Okay, and please try what I explained some minutes ago. If you click one country, for example, Germany, you will see that my pie chart changes. Okay, do you see? So France, for example, and my pie chart changes automatically. So there's an immediate link between the pie chart and the map. Another visualization I want to show you is a cart. So let's take a closer look to that cart like this and drag sales to the cart, and you will see the amount of sales for France. Okay, this is the total amount, but the amount for France is this one. Okay, so this is very powerful for analyzing your data. So this is a cart with the sales. I can add a cart for the units sold, for example, and you will see 1,013,000,000 units sold for the whole company. But for Canada, for example, like this, you see that those numbers change immediately. So very powerful. Okay, gonna wait a minute and try to do the same as I did. Okay, I want to show you one more thing, which is a tree map. Pay attention, please. Gonna add a tree map and show you what a tree map means. So I want to see the products with the sales on this tree map like this. But as you can see, you will see only product 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, which means nothing to me. So what can I do here? I can change that product with that product full name, and this is the power of that Power BI. Since there is a link between those two tables, you can see the name of the products. Product 1 to 6 are changed with VTT and so on. So you can see the names of the products since there is a link between the product lists and the sheet 1. And this is the power of Power BI. I can start analyzing now, and maybe I want to see the sales for VTT, and I can see the sales amount, the units sold, the analyzation of the data by segment and by country. Okay, another view we can try is the sales by date. Pay attention, please. I'm gonna add a stack column chart like this, and I'm gonna add the date, see what happens, the date and the sales, and you will see the date by year. By default, it's gonna show you the date by year, and you will see 2017, I think, and 2018. But what you can do here is go to the next level. Pay attention, please. Go to the next level, and you will see the date by quarters. Quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4. Next level, months, and so on. Okay? So in my PowerPoint, I made this like this. So the sales by month. If you're interested in the sales by month, you can see it like this. Okay, so you should keep in mind that there is a link between all those visualizations. So if you want to see the sales for VTT, for example, you will see that your map changes, your pie chart changes, those two card changes, and the sales by month will change too. Okay? So you can play around with it and see what happens. So let me save this as Power BI financial data, for example. And from now on, there's a link between this Power BI and the Excel file financial data, or financial sample, sorry. So if you want, you can try to change the view here again, like this. Or create your own view later if you want. Okay. There's one more thing I want to show you, which can be quite important, and this is the mobile layout. So I told you in the beginning of this workshop that it's possible to show you the report on a mobile layout, on your iPhone or iPad or your mobile device. So if you click mobile layout, you will see all your visualizations and you can drag them to a mobile layout, like this, for example. You see, so I'm creating a mobile layout now. Which I can save and publish. That's important, that I have to publish the data. Okay, if you save your file and publish that report to the Power BI environment, it will be online and it will be available on your own mobile device, which can be very nice, of course, like this. To your own workspace, you all have an own workspace. Select, and it is publishing my Power BI financial data report into my workspace. Okay, so you can see success. So my report is published now on my cloud platform, let's say. And you can do exactly the same on your mobile phone now.
Ok. Turma, tem na mesma um caso para fazerem, caso esse que ainda não foi aqui tratado, ok? Então, tem aqui os fecheiros que precisam de obter para depois, no Power BI, tratarem o caso, ok? Na vossa resolução, convinha também que fizessem conexão ao vosso telemóvel. Portanto, depois com outro telemóvel conseguirem tirar uma fotografia ao vosso telemóvel e mandar-nos, era giro também, está bem? Quando entregassem o caso. Obrigada pela vossa presença.